First of all, just this general screen. I have all my custom buy buttons down here. I'm going to hide the extra options for now. I love that the extra options are hidden by default. They're usually hidden. I have them open. But you can open extra options. Slippage, anti-mev. On the networks that have anti-mev, I use anti-mev. On the networks that don't, I set my slippage appropriately. In ones that have anti-mev, you don't have to think about it, which is good. You can auto-retry, all that stuff. They're all pretty self-explanatory. The scan button will open up two buttons, one for Comfy Scanner, one for TTF, our partners for scanners. They're great to help you figure out more information than this menu is giving you. These icons are actually pretty important. Can buy and can sell. The bot runs a simulation to try and see if you'll be able to sell. If you can't, it'll give you a red X, and it will try to stop you from buying it. Snipe menu. Since this isn't live, this is already live, this will not trigger anything, so I'm going to go ahead and use this to go through the snipe menu. Launch slower. People, I've seen them use this, and when it's on Solana, you'll see this kind of same menu. I've seen people use launch slower as their default option. I've seen it go well, and I've seen it go very poorly.
It's just plant C.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a backup option. What it tries to do is it tries to look for known launch method IDs, contract calls, and use that. It tries to also watch the chain for any buys and sells to try and activate your snipe. So this is a backup option. This is like the worst way to rely on it. I've seen people work, and then I've seen it completely fail, and people go, why didn't my snipe work? And I go, you're using launch slower as your only option. So that is not the way to go. But I turn it on every time I'm going to snipe just as a backup. Method is your main way of sniping, because back in 2020, people would use liquidity sniping because these contracts didn't have these methods. But now it's method. So by hitting method, you'll get all this list. And in this list, it's pretty obvious which one for Prodigy was the go live transaction by the dev wallet. It was set swap active. So you just tap set swap active, click it or tap it, and now it is copied, paste it. And now it's turned on. And as soon as the blockchain sees that function triggered, your buy will activate. I personally generally use liquidity, method, and launch just in case to be safe.
Wait, MJ, how'd you know it was obvious? Just
oh yeah, I'll bring it back up. Yeah, I mean, it's really just takes reading, right? So honestly,
yeah.
that's it. Obviously allowances in it, set swap amount, complete ownership handover, transfer ownership. None of this stuff is going to be the thing that you need to do. I mean, if you wanted to ape upon transfer ownership, like a renounce, because that's what that is, then you would do it on that. These are all actions that the dev contract can do, thus will trigger your buy. But the one, you can read through the whole thing, but as soon as you see something, usually it says active, or it says launch, or it says set launch or something like that. That's your method that you're going to want to use. Sometimes people are tricky where they put multiple methods to launch and it's hard to understand, and you kind of just have to get. Sometimes I've seen people where they literally add two of the same exact named function and you don't know which one it is. But that's not often. That's very rare that a dev is that smart. So set swap active was it.
So how'd you know it was that one instead of the active?
Yeah.
What's the word? Bool. Yeah, what does that mean? I actually don't know what that means.
Well, bool is something
because I've just kind of been leaving out liquidity and launch slower, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, so bool is basically in computer coding. It's something that can be in one of two states. So on or off, one or two. So set swap active is basically when it says bool is something that only is allowed to have two states. So it's either going to be on or off.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's how you kind of know what that word means. But, swap active and set swap active reads more anyway, just by, complete layman. It reads a little more
set okay. That makes sense.
Exactly.
Set as opposed to swap. Okay. All right. Well, so is that kind of your main, is set swap active bool is kind of your main, or, I mean, is there like 5 to 10 that you kind of know, or?
Yeah, I mean, there is I've seen ones that say launch. I've seen ones that say go live. There's a couple different wordings, but they're usually pretty clear, especially in because the Prodigy contract honestly has a decent amount of functions, but a lot of contracts have like, I don't know, like 10 total. So it'll usually be pretty clear as to what you're looking for. So yeah, it was set swap active. I'll just reset it, and you'll see that the red check mark becomes a green check mark, meaning that your snipe is now active. Yes, it will trigger if they do that. However, you need to set your spending amounts and limits. So you would be able to set your amount in ETH you want to spend. Here, you'd be able to set your amount of tokens you want to buy, and here, percentage. Now, those do affect each other. So let's say you want to buy 1%, but you only want to spend, let's just use high numbers because why not right now, 1 ETH, right? You would set your spend to 1 ETH and your percentage to 1. Now, if your percentage if you buy 1%, but it only costs you half an ETH, you'll spend half an ETH, not the 1 ETH. At the same time, if you try and go to buy 1%, but it costs 10 ETH, well, it's only going to buy 1 ETH worth. So those amounts they affect one another. So that's how you set it. I usually, personally, I just set I want to spend like 0.05 or something on my snipe. So I usually enable all three. So now I have all three set. I usually just personally set a spend, not how much I want to buy necessarily. You can go a different way. With ETH, I usually, because launch is usually launched with higher tax, I usually set my slippage to infinity because the price action is going to be massive. I mean, slippage doesn't necessarily, people have a misunderstanding of slippage. What slippage generally means is that between the first coin you buy and the last coin you buy, how much the price can change. Obviously, because of that, you need to account for tax, because if your first buy, the price per coin can't change, then the amount taken out for tax will fail. So you need to at least set it for the amount of tax and then add a little bit for the actual price change. But during a snipe, the price change will be very, very, very rapid. So setting your slippage more like 50 or 100 or infinity is a worthwhile thing to do. Your mileage may vary. This is not an every single time. Don't come to me if you set infinity slippage and you get screwed on a snipe. It's just the way I do it. Gas, if you are a token holder of Prodigy, even one token, you get boosted priority for sniping above free snipers. But if you outgas people, you're probably still going to beat them anyway. So yeah, if you have the same exact default gas as another user and you have one Prodigy coin, or you're a premium user, you beat them. But if they outgas you, well, they outgas you. Gas is the most important thing when it comes to getting a snipe in early. Right now, gas is the gas price is 22 on ETH. That's very, very cheap. So if you want to add another 50 guai, you could, as long as it's in your ability to afford it. With a snipe, spend as much as you can afford on gas, depending on if it is hyped or not. One way you can tell if it is hyped or not is seeing this alpha right here. And that'll tell you how many times a contract has been scanned in the bot. And by telling you that, you can hopefully on a new contract kind of get a good idea of how many other people might be sniping it. And in that scenario, you raise the gas and hope for the best. That is the plight of the sniper. You really can't know.